The most terrifying things found in Halloween candy. Did you ever know that Halloween candies can have needles inside, or some drugs, or even some poison? In this video, we'll gradually go to the most terrifying item ever discovered in Halloween candy. Razors. Razors can be slid into snack-sized candy bars very readily, just like needles. They have even been discovered in Tootsie Rolls, Twix, and Snickers. Imagine going trick-or-treating on Halloween, coming home, and pulling out a candy bar. Oh, it's a Twix bar, lovely. Trying to take a bite, and ouch, something pokes you on the inside of your cheek. One young girl in Hawaii experienced that in 2015. This young girl found a needle inside a Twix bar, which is bad enough. But in the same year, there were similar reports of children discovering needles within Nestle Crunch and Snickers bars as well. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but the situation might have been much worse. Finding needles is unpleasant enough, but the next story will shock you. Nobody likes getting candy stuck in their teeth. But you know what's worse? Finding bullets where your candy was supposed to be. One Halloween, a 4-year-old boy had actual bullets in his Milk Duds box. You may be wondering how they got there. Well, it turns out they were placed in the candy boxes during a trick-or-treat event at the children's preschool. Apparently, there were 3 .22 caliber rounds just chilling there in his Milk Duds box. Fortunately, his mother discovered the bullets before he ingested them. Otherwise, he would have had to visit the hospital. A man stuffed needles into Halloween candy in 2000. James Joseph Smith of Minneapolis is known for handing out Snickers bars to local children that he had filled with needles. His crime did not result in any fatalities, but one teenage boy was pricked by a needle when biting into the candy. Smith was later charged with 1 count of adulterating a substance with intent to cause death, harm, or illness. Glass. One mother in Buffalo, New York discovered glass fragments on her daughter's Tootsie Pops, which is regrettably one of the simplest candy to tamper with and maybe get away with. Does anyone desires candy with a metal flavor after trick-or-treating? When a mother in Indiana was sorting through her daughter's candy, she came across an unopened Snickers bar. At first, nothing seemed amiss. But when she tore open the candy, she discovered a dangerous metal rod inside. That's a pretty bad Halloween prank, don't you think? Immediately, the police launched an investigation into the candy manufacturer, but they discovered that it was highly unlikely that the candy came from their facility, and that nobody still knows how it got inside. Another shocking story. According to KFOR, one mother discovered gunshots inside the Milk Dud cartons that were given to her preschool-aged son. Another one. In her trick-or-treating bag, an 8-year-old girl from Hercules, California, discovered 0.1 grams of crystal meth and not rock candy in her trick-or-treating bag, according to these spadimes. Let's move on to some ant-killing candies. In 1964, an elderly woman named Helen Phil became frustrated with kids she believed were too old to go trick-or-treating, so she made special treats for them. She became a little too caught up in the prank. However, as she took a dog biscuit, some steel wool, and ant poison, wrapped it in a candy bar, and handed it out to 12 teenagers who were between the ages of 14 and 16. 5 of the candies were discovered, and the woman was immediately taken to the police. She insisted that she was joking when questioned by them, but the judge ordered that she be sent to a hospital for a psychological examination regarding poison. There is a disturbing pixie stick tale. In an effort to murder them and obtain a $40,000 life insurance claim, Timothy O'Brien decided it would be a good idea to poison pixie stick sweets before giving it to 5 kids, including his son and daughter. Do you want to hear the worst part? Unfortunately, O'Brien's scheme was successful, and his kid died. Can you imagine how horrible this must have been for the boy's mother? Thankfully, the authorities confiscated all of the poisoned sugar tubes before he was apprehended. Thank goodness he was executed in 1984, and he is now known as the Candy Man. In New Jersey, children were reportedly given apples containing razor blades. In 1968, the New York Times reported 13 cases of children in New Jersey finding razor blades in apples they received while trick-or-treating. In 75% of these cases, the children were uninjured. However, fear of these razor blade apples was so strong that the state passed a law to criminalize tampering with Halloween candy. Despite the public reaction to these events, 2 detailed studies of the cases, conducted in 1972 and 1982, determined nearly all claims were false, and the children had put the razors in the apples themselves to propagate the urban legend. However, not every single instance was written off as a hoax. A dentist handed out laxatives to neighborhood children. One of the earliest known incidents involving tainted Halloween candy dates back to 1959. A California dentist named William V. Shine reportedly handed out 450 pieces of candy that later turned out to be laxatives. Many local children became ill, and the source of the candy was quickly traced back to Shine. The dentist later faced several criminal charges. 3 Canadian children received tainted candy one Halloween. Another Halloween 2015 incident involved an 11-year-old girl in Toronto who bit into a chocolate bar only to find a razor inside. She was the 3rd child in the city to find a sharp object in her Halloween candy that year. Children in the city's Upper Beaches area found a needle and a thumbtack lodged inside their candy. Fortunately, none of the children were harmed. Canadian children found strange pills in their candy. In 2015, Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Lloydminster, Alberta, reported at least 2 children had discovered pills in their candy. One child found an entire blister pack, and a second found a single pill stamped APO inside of a Snickers bar that had been opened and resealed. APO is a stamp of Apotex, a pharmaceutical company, meaning the pill was likely a prescription drug of some kind.